Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name's Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Ahmad.
Hi Nathan, how are you?
I have been better. This is the first time that we have recorded so close to the full-time whistle, having just watched the turgid display of Manchester United getting schooled by Brighton at home 3-1, which is becoming a common theme whenever Brighton turn up at Old Trafford these days. But that was bloody awful, right?
Yeah, it was more of the same, I guess. They won a few games. Yeah, they give us hope. But yeah, sooner or later, the real quality of the players it shows. Yeah, and Brighton deserved to win. I don't think we had a single shot on target except for the penalty, and we were dominated all over the pitch. Yeah, it was clear to see how Brighton had a clear idea, and United, yeah, they were just all over the place.
It seemed like we was relying on individual brilliance again. After the great displays, I say great displays, after raising our game to play Arsenal away, City away, really digging deep, Liverpool away as well. But I felt today we really transitioned into that plucky underdog side, which is not becoming of a Manchester United unit. It's like we shouldn't be going to games raising ourselves like it's an FA Cup final every time we play these guys. We should have more consistency throughout the team so that we can handle games against Southampton, against Brighton. We didn't actually mention we didn't record after the Southampton game, but even then, we came out of it winning 3-1, but we put in another poor performance. But today was probably more toothless than it's ever been.
Well, I don't know. There were some good spells. I'd say we had some good spells, but the first half we were okay. I felt 1-1 was a fair result. Second half, I don't know. We were asleep the whole half. And yeah, like as usual, these players tend to drop their heads whenever they face adversity. Whenever they concede silly chances. The goals we conceded were yeah. I have no words, to be honest. It's just the usual now. Like it's just the usual. Like you said, we depend on individual brilliance up front to pull something out of the game. But again, individual mistakes are also costing us at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly Onana today. He was awful. In my opinion, he was at fault for the second goal. Third goal, it's obvious it was his fault. But yeah, you were saying that we had good games against Arsenal, against Liverpool, and then when it comes to Southampton at home, Brighton at home, it seems like our levels drop again, and that's a sign of a small team. To be honest, this is what we see with
Yeah,
smaller clubs usually.
exactly. And I think we even said this before the Southampton game. We said this is the big test will be against teams like Southampton, against Brighton, against Rangers that will be coming there on Thursday, which we'll talk about later. But they just don't seem to be able to do it. They're toothless. And I think one of the things that I noticed about Brighton was that all the play acting, the time wasting, the niggly little fouls, the little pushes on like Onana, just getting into our players' heads. We've not got any of that. On the comms that I was watching, I can't remember who was doing the co-commentary, but it was an ex-pro who said, I played there. I played at Old Trafford when like Brian Robson was playing, and they had a big team of big players around him, and you felt fear when you stepped onto that pitch. He said that transcended into later days when he was playing against like Beckham and Keane and Scholes as well. And this team, you just look at them and you're just like, well, they're just boys. I'll just push them over. I'll get in their heads, and they've got no leaders, and we'll run rampant. And it was the most simplest of plays that was cutting us open every single time. Just little passes, little 1-2 passes, create the space, pass it across the box. Onana causes nervy reactions throughout the entire team. Harry Maguire looked like he'd seen a ghost or a murder. Like there was lots of times when the camera focused in on him, and he was just like, "Oh my god!" And he had another 4 out of 10 game, but then that was probably better than most players that were on the pitch. Just soft boys. And when we drill into it, like individual performances, you can't really say that any of them had a good game today. Not on one of them, but individual performances, like Mainu, what's going on? Where are you, kid? Like Ugarte was there, but just they were chasing shadows in midfield. Was he called Balema?
Baleba.
He owned that midfield.
Yeah.
He just owned it. And I'm not looking at digging out individuals here. I think collectively, this is the worst squad of players that we've ever had at United. I guess since the 80s. Since the 80s and early 90s. This is a team of players that aren't fit to wear the shirt. And if you could ship 90% of that squad out, after that performance today, you wouldn't bat an eyelid.
Yeah, for sure. Again, it goes back to physicality. It goes back to the players that we have, the profiles that we have. Ugarte has proven that he can hold his own when it comes to the physical aspect of the game. I think he's been overplayed. He played a lot. He played, I think, 120 against Arsenal. He played most of the game on Thursday, was it? So, and he's been playing a lot. So maybe I'd excuse Ugarte. Kobe, I don't know. He's been on and off for the whole season. He has good games. He has very average games like today. And he does need to work on himself physically because he doesn't seem up to it. Like he doesn't seem mobile enough. He doesn't seem strong enough. Not fast enough. And these are the main 3 things you'd need in a midfielder. Especially when you're playing that system that you'd have to cover ground. You can't just depend on Ugarte to cover up any spaces. And then, it goes through the team. When your midfield is being dispossessed every time, not holding the ball, afraid to just have 2 touches on the ball. Yeah, it felt like they panicked every time they got the ball, and this just expressed throughout the team. Bruno again, very 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 below
game.
Average. Yeah, it was. The only one who, or the only 2 who I'd say were not that bad were Ahmad again and Xerxes. I thought Xerxes first half pulled up play. He was actually doing really well. He created chances, like he created space for other players. He took out 3 players on his own, created space for other players. He was okay, but again, not up to the standard. We still need someone who scores goals.
I think both of those players, I think Ahmad and Xerxes, you're right, they did play well in the first half, and I thought the pressure that they applied up top was really good.
Yeah.
But then they faded badly in the second half when basically, Brighton made an adjustment that nullified their effect, and we just couldn't get at them. And we was relying on Maguire hoofing it downfield, Onana hoofing it downfield, De Ligt hoofing it downfield, playing these balls into nowhere and just expecting our boys to run onto it. Garnacho, again, it's one of those games where you look at him and you want someone to make an impact. And I think it's unfair to kind of put all of that, for him to shoulder all of the blame and all of the pressure to do that. But he just kept running down cul-de-sacs all the time. Couldn't beat a man. Dallo couldn't beat a man. Kept running across his man. He was making, I sent you a message, every time he got clear, he just kept trying to cut across his man because he was trying to buy the foul, or he just didn't believe in himself that he could outpace the defender that was coming in. It was it was hard. It was hard to watch that game. Mazraoui got cooked by Matoma over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Onana conceding when he did, how he did, just killed us completely. Just absolutely killed us. Whatever momentum we had, whatever energy, whatever resources we were going to dig into, when he dived at that ball with his hands in his pockets and it bounced off him, and then they score, that's it. Forget it. Game's over. And he just typified everything about the game.
No, with Onana, like it's very confusing with Onana. I mean, he has games where he pulls out. I don't know. It just feels like De Gea all over again. There are games that he pulls out saves that you're like, how the hell did he just do that? And then like the simplest of stuff, like today, he messes up, which like you can't do that as a goalkeeper, especially at United. You can't. You just can't. And like I would actually look to replace him in the summer, even though I love him. Like I love him on the ball. He's calm, but to be honest, in the past few years, most goalkeepers you can find like 10, 15 goalkeepers who can do that, but who can actually save. So I think he's one of those who, if you can replace him, just do it. I don't know if you want to go through the whole team. You can say that about most of them. So
I think that's it. And there's no. This is the thing. These players would be squad players in any other team in the top 10 of the Premier League. They would be squad players, not starters. I can't think of any of these players now that would get into the starting lineup of an Arsenal, of a Man City, of Aston Villa, of anyone. Because they're not physical enough for a start. They're not technically astute as a lot of the players are. They don't work as a team, right? They're individuals just flailing at things. I know it sounds like I'm being super harsh, but this is the reality. This is the reality for Amorim. This is the reality for Ratcliffe. This is the reality when you're looking at a squad of players and you're trying to. We'll talk about transfers later, but you're trying to get players off the wage bill, which has been ruined by the Glazers and mismanagement for so long. But the reality of it is that this is what you have to get. And relegation is not above this team. Relegation is not above this team. We could easily go down.
Yeah, for sure. We need 40 points to be safe. We're on 26 now, I think. So we need 14 points, which is, 4 wins, 2 draws. I mean, looking at the schedule, I don't see where we got those from. Next league game is a Fulham away. I don't see us winning, to be honest. But that's the thing. When you were saying how the players wouldn't get into other teams because they're not physical enough, but they proved in games against Arsenal. They proved in games against Liverpool that when they're up to it, they actually can be physical. They can actually compete. But why is it when it comes to games like this? Maybe, I don't know. It sounds weird, but I think it's something that has to do with Old Trafford. I don't think they have the legs to cover the ground. Maybe, I don't know, Old Trafford, the pitch, it seems bigger maybe. And they just can't cover the space. I genuinely believe that. I've seen this way too often with these players. For years on. God. Yeah, but if they want to build a new stadium, just make the pitch smaller or whatever. I don't know. Just do it Anfield. Yeah, I don't know.
It's what the big problem is. It's the length of the Old Trafford pitch.
That's it.
It's certainly what the players' agents will probably say. It's the length of the pitch, and they can't run it. But for me, it's small team mentality. It's when they go into games against Southampton, against Brighton, they're not up for it because they can't find that spark that ignites their enthusiasm or their drive. And we want to win every ball. Brighton made those players look like clowns today. Look like tiny little boys, tiny little clowns, which is terrifying to be honest. But they made them look like they just didn't know what they were doing when they was doing all of the theatrics and Van Heck's rolling around. Oh man, Onana stood on my foot. Firstly, as a Manchester United fan, I'm like, get up, like get him off the pitch, and you've got many Euro like grabbing at him and Maguire grabbing at him and all this lot. And then I'm like, hang on, when was the last time we did something like that? When was the last time one of our players just raked their studs down the back of someone's leg, like during one of these like set pieces? When did we ever see? When was the last time we saw us employing the dark arts and trying to do that stuff that winds the opposition up? And I don't know when it was. I can't even think, and it's probably a good couple of seasons since we've seen any of that. Because these are just soft boys.
Since Mourinho, I guess, ever since Solskjaer came in, he's this nice guy with he has this tough streak to him. But I feel like he just ironed that out of the players. But Mourinho, he used to encourage the players to do that. And VAR, I guess, since VAR came in,
true.
People stopped doing
that. I get it. I get it with the VAR, but just it takes something different than just physical attributes on the pitch. You have to be clever when you're playing against teams like this, and you have to think laterally when you're playing against teams that come to Old Trafford. You can't just set up the exact same way every time. You have to have a plan for it, and I'm sure Amorim sets them out with, this is how we're going to play this game. But when they get out there, it's like just unleashing a bag of marbles onto the pitch, because you don't know where they're going to go, you don't know what they're going to do, and then they lose all of their whatever the planning was. I'm sure he's not telling Maguire, launch it forward like a quarterback every time you get it in the back three. He can't be. Play a long ball that's going across the box to Garnacho, who's got absolutely no chance of getting to it. That's not tactics, that's desperation. And it creeps through the team. The longer the game was going on, it was just like, it's just getting worse and worse. And one thing I will say is, at the beginning of the game, we should have said this right at the top, but there was a absolutely fantastic tribute to Dennis Law, King of the Stretford End, before the game, where there was a poem read out about him. And, it was really poignant. He passed away earlier on this week at 85, and he was a fantastic servant for Manchester United, played for Man City. Doesn't stop Manchester United fans from loving him. Amazing player. Tenacity. If anyone's listening to this and never seen Dennis Law play, I implore you to go and check it out on YouTube or Daily Motion, wherever you can find any footage of him, and just watch how he played the game of football. He was just there for everything, just drive, skill, just pirouetting on the ball. Beautiful player to watch. And after all of that, after that beautiful message and poem that they read out for him, and you're not unable to raise yourself and fight for every challenge, because that's what we were doing. We were second best at everything. You can't do it for that. What chance have you got?
I don't know. It's this system that he's playing, that Amorim is trying to play. It needs specific players. It just does. It needs specific players, and we don't have them. For example, whenever we play this, we have a pattern of play, and then there's space for Dalot to run into, and we play that pass. If you have someone there who's actually left-footed and that's actually fast, that's a chance. That's a proper chance, because there's so much space to run into. But every time Dalot, he wants to take it on his right foot, like you said, he wants to go across his man, and he just kills the chance. But okay, I don't want to be harsh on Dalot again. I'm not just talking about Dalot. It's an example that you need players for the system. If you have, I don't know, just for example, just say Alphonso Davies there, for example, you're gonna get a chance, because he's just gonna run straight to goal faster than anyone else on his left foot. There's a chance. You that's what I'm saying. And it goes through the whole team, the striker as well, the midfielders as well. I don't know. I think part of the reason we had those reports a few weeks back that we would listen to offers for Kobe is because probably we love him and everything, but for this system, he's not ideal. If you can get 100 million, 150 million, they're going to consider it. Whether we like it or not, they're going to consider it. Because with that money, they can get someone who's actually tailor-made for that role. So, and it goes, yeah, like I said, goes out throughout the whole team. We have those 10 players who I'd say Amorim feels that he can actually depend on them, and they proved that in games against City, Arsenal, Liverpool, or whatever. But he can't keep on playing them because they're gonna get overplayed. They're gonna play every three days, and yeah, they don't have the physical attributes to deal with that. So again, it goes back to the squad we have, and we have, I don't know, like 14 days left for the January transfer window, and we're waiting. We're gonna get to transfer later, but I mean, we have to do something. We have to, because this season we're joking when we say we might get relegated, but it's not that much of a joke because each passing week.
I'm not joking anymore. I'm
mean,
literally
yeah,
not joking about it anymore.
yeah, it's genuinely possible. I think like it's either us or Spurs. One of us is gonna go down because we're both as bad, to be honest. But yeah, like I mean, we have to do something. We have to, even if it's one player that just lifts up the spirit in the team, because that usually happens. You get that one player, and yeah, like everything changes somehow. You have to try, but you can't just depend on those players. We've seen they're not good enough. It's not their fault. They're just not good enough. They just don't have it. You know, like they literally don't have it. And yeah, I don't know. Like it's a mess. I mean, this season is a write-off. I just hope we can do something in the Europa League. And like I said, it's a write-off. I'm not gonna go into Amorim or anything. Some fans are like they're like, why are you playing five at the back against Brighton at home? It's not about that. It's not about that. It's not about why he's not gonna switch to a back four just to win. Like I don't know. It's a whole thing. And yeah, we need to do something like sooner or later because this is just depressing, to be honest.
Well, we're going to move on to the transfer stuff in a second, but I'll just leave you with the facts about the Brighton game. Well played Brighton, first of all, because they totally deserve to win that game. Lenny Yoro continues to keep his losing streak from starting for Manchester United. Every time he starts for United, he has lost the game. And the only time that was different was against Southampton, and he was off the pitch when the comeback was on. And to show his kind of his immaturity within that team, it was typified by him going head to head with Solly March when he lost the throw in or lost the free kick. That was just stupid, and a better captain would have been over quicker to kind of diffuse the whole thing. But I think that just exemplifies the entire squad right now. Obviously, after a terrible performance like we just put in against Brighton, eyes turn to the rest of the January transfer window with recruitments in, or recruits desperate to come in. Or we're desperate for recruitment, let's say it that way. I don't think anyone's desperate to come to Manchester United right now. But we definitely have to do something in this window. There's the talk of players going out is the hot stuff right now. We've got Rashford, who was dropped again against Brighton. He's not ill. It was just a tactical decision from Amorim, which reading between the lines means we're trying to get him out of the club, but we've not found anyone to do it yet. Then we've got Anthony going to Real Betis. Again, he came on and was completely ineffectual. I think he actually got in the way of a shot that was going on target. I think that was his contribution to the game. He made a stunning contribution against Southampton the other night where from a tapping position, he managed to pass it back to the goalkeeper, which is, I mean, that is a skill in itself, let's say that. So I think Real Betis took one look at that and thought, yeah, we fancy that. Bring him in. So it looks like he's off there as well. And then who was the other players? Who else have I got written down here? Oh, Malasia's been told that he can leave. He's been told he can leave this window, which is unsurprising. We've talked about this over the last few weeks about him just not being able to hold down a position. We've like Luke Shaw, I think, was mentioned as possibly being back soon. So they're definitely looking at a left back. So with that in mind, the left back that has been linked recently is Ait Nouri, which would be a a great signing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be negative, but I don't see it happening. It's too good to be true, to be honest. But
Oh, I can't see any players coming in.
yeah,
This is just a section I'm trying to fill it up with names, trying to link them to Manchester United.
no, honestly, no. Ait Nouri would be perfect for the system because attacking wise, he's one of the best in the league. He's just perfect for that left wing back role. Uh, and yeah, it's either him or Kirkus. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Again, Kirkus scored last night against Newcastle. So the only reason I don't see the only reason Ait Nouri wouldn't come in is that United would be looking at someone for the summer, and it's not Ait Nouri. Because I can see someone like Kirkus fitting the system more, but he's not available now. But you have to bring in someone. Like they were looking at Nuno Mendes, and now it looks like he's gonna sign a new deal with PSG. Alphonso Davies probably staying at Bayern now. So yeah, like the market is getting smaller and smaller. So you have to do something.
Yeah.
You can't just wait. Malacia, he has to go. I guess like he came on against Arsenal, and I think that was the first time we've seen him in a long time. Again today there was, I'm not sure, like against Southampton maybe he came on as well. But it looks like he's leaving. But
Garnacho too looks like he's probably going to go to.
I'd take the
Napoli.
money. I'd take the money and John. Honestly, if they're paying 50, 60 million, I'd take it and John. Even though I love him, but right now, you need, because if you get like the 60 million pure profit, for example, you can get like 3-4 players for about 50 million, and like for PSR, you can actually pay them off. So yeah, like I would do it.
But my issue with any sales at the moment, and I said this on the last podcast, is that Jim Ratcliffe's looking to get the club back into a profitable business again, not into a successful team. First and foremost, he's looking forward to getting this team profitable again. Otherwise, you won't be talking about getting a new stadium and building, either refurbishing Old Trafford or getting a new stadium. You know, he wants it to be a money-making machine that he knows it has the potential to be, that it has been before, that it could be again. So my worry is that Garnacho money comes in and he doesn't want to risk it on buying someone in January. I think, if anything, he holds it back for a war chest in the summer. I don't think immediately he goes out and buys someone. I think he's just like, well, Garnacho's gone, so bring a youth player through, and we'll sell them in the summer as well if they do well. I can't see him just immediately going, right, 50 million in, 50 million out. I don't think he'll do that.
I agree. I don't think it's like that, but I also don't think that he's thinking more about the money part as much as, like, in my opinion, he is actually looking more at the sporting side, because he knows in the long term, if the club becomes profitable in a business aspect, what's the point if they're not doing well on the pitch? Because they're gonna lose their sponsors if this goes on for much longer. The only reason we have this many sponsors is because of our history. You know, like how we used to perform in the early 2010s.
And the millions of fans across the world. I mean, it's one of the biggest global fan bases, right?
Yeah, but you're not gonna, like, for example, the kids supporting United right now are becoming less and less. So
my kids won't even wear a United top.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They wouldn't even sit with me to watch the Brighton game. So,
and they're from Manchester,
angry at the TV again. Yeah, well, I mean, they were born in Dubai, two of them, and one was born in Bath. So yeah, they're as far away from Manchester as you could possibly get. But still, you're right. I do see more kids wearing Liverpool shirts and Man City shirts, and it will always change. It will definitely change. You're right. But I just don't. It's a trust thing. I don't trust billionaires, because I think eventually money corrupts them, or it already has, and that's why they're billionaires. So for me, 50 million for Garnacho and then not spending it is worse than Garnacho staying at Man United and stinking the place out for a season. So I'd rather just keep him But anyway, we've gone slightly off topic with the regards to the transfers. One of the ones that I had written down from the other day was Douglas Luiz, but it looks like Man City might be sneaking in to get him on loan from Juventus. Because you mentioned him to me, you said he would have been a good signing, but do you think he would in this team? Do you think he'd be able to elevate this squad?
Yeah. I think he's ever since he was at Villa. When I used to watch him the past 2-3 seasons, he's been one of those players that he reminds me of Bruno Guimaraes. I mean, he's not as good because Bruno Guimaraes is literally he's so good. But Douglas Luiz was actually really really good. He was physical. He was aggressive. He's very aggressive, and he was very good technically. He can keep the ball. He can keep the ball under pressure. He has this pass in him. He's a player who would actually do well, in my opinion. He would do well alongside Ugarte. And he's not been playing at Juve for some reason. But yeah, I thought, and he has Premier League experience, which is, for me, I always look for that in a player, and I cry out for that in any signing that we make. Just get someone who can play in the Prem, who's played in the Prem, because we cannot keep on taking risks. You can get 5 players who are proven in the Prem, and then 1 or 2 who are not. And then you're if they do well, then that's good. But you have to get, your core has to be proven in the Prem, especially in a team like this. So yeah, Douglas Luiz was one of them. Also, I was thinking last night, why don't, it's not gonna happen. Why don't we try at least for a loan for Tayo Awoniyi, the Nottingham Forest striker, the backup striker, because Chris Wood is playing all the games. He's not coming. He's barely coming on.
He scored again today. Yeah.
No, he didn't score. Chris Wood, yeah.
Chris Wood's good. Yeah.
He's on fire. Yeah. He's unbelievable. Awoniyi, I think he would do well in an Amorim system. He's very good at hold up play. He's big. He's a good finisher. He can also create chances, and he's proven in the Prem. He's played in the Prem. He's not gonna do any worse than the players that we have right now. So I think he's a good option. These kinds of players are ones that we should look around for.
It's just it's depressing to even have a second string Nottingham Forest striker even mentioned as improving this team. But you're absolutely right. He would. So there's no denying it. And maybe he would be a decent foil for United. But I think they're probably going to look at wide players. I don't think they're going to make this. I don't think they're going to make a striker signing this season, which is why they're looking at Mbuemo as well, which again fits the template that you just mentioned there, with Premier League experience, able to come in and make an instant impact. And he would definitely take this team to another level. But again, would we just ruin him? The potential of him would be fantastic if he did come in. I can't see Brentford selling him. I don't see the reason why they would sell him. But would we just ruin him like we have done with every other signing that we brought in recently?
Yeah. Just probably, yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Fair enough. That's it. No, I think that's fair enough. That is it. That's all you need to say. Yes, we probably would. But we've been in for Bellingham as well, haven't we?
Job?
The younger brother, yeah. Again, one for the future.
I'd like that to happen, to be honest, because I've seen clips of him. You can't really judge on clips, but it's a risk. It's a risk, but we should take it. But we're not, so I'm so depressed.
I think whatever happens, I think we're in agreement that something needs to happen with this squad in this transfer window, with outgoings, Rashford, Anthony. Remember, these players that we're talking about, these ones that we've been talking about, they're going to leave. We've been talking about this for maybe 6-7 weeks, and we still not managed to shift them on. A Casemiro, we still haven't managed to shift him on. He didn't get on the pitch again today. Rashford, he's been talked about leaving since he gave that interview. Still haven't managed to do it. Anthony, maybe it's closing in, maybe it won't. Maybe it's going to go to the end of the transfer window. Who knows? But we're unable to get rid of these players right now. We're unable to take them off the books. And until that happens, we just won't be signing anyone. And this squad, there is a reality where this squad sees out the end of the season as they are right now.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
it's depressing.
I mean, like
It's not fine.
there's nothing that, like I told you, this season is a write-off. So if that's the case, that for example, if we get money for Garnacho and that we, like you said, we hold it off for the summer, I'm okay with that, as long as we actually do something in the summer. Because this summer is going to be the most. We say that every summer, but this summer is actually going to be the most important. But yeah, I think the only positive that we can take out of this game, the loss that we had today, was that the board shouldn't think that, okay, we've turned the corner from there, like after the results against Liverpool and Arsenal, and maybe we can do something with the players that we have. It's very obvious that we can't. I mean, even against Southampton and tonight, I mean, there's nothing that's gonna clear that up for you more than this. You have to do something. You have to get someone in. Personally, I hate loans. I don't see the point unless you're getting someone like with an obligation to buy. But I don't get why is it so tough to buy someone. Like, okay, you go to Brentford, you pay the money that they're asking for Boehm. Everyone has a price. If you sell Garnacho, just go and do that. Yeah, I mean, like, but I don't know. Like, it's just City have I don't know. They've already spent more than 150 so far. So how does that make sense? Like, how does that make sense?
I don't know. It would have been nice or poetic if it was 115 million that they spent, but yeah. But they did. They play by their own rules, whereas we're stuck with penny pinching Jim. So Manchester United get to rectify a terrible performance against Brighton, against Rangers in the Europa League on Thursday at Old Trafford again. Do you see any changes? Do you think we'll be any better against a team that we've already beaten in pre-season?
I don't know. I mean, like, we struggled against Southampton, which are arguably the worst team to ever play in the Premier League. So against Rangers, they're doing well. In the Europa League, in the league, I think they're not. I think they're second. I think Celtic are way ahead of them.
Yeah,
but I think they gave Spurs a tough game when they played in the Europa League. So yeah, I can see them getting a draw at least.
I think the interesting thing, or what we've seen today, is like from Brighton and the other day from Southampton, is teams aren't scared to come to Old Trafford. Like, there's no fear factor there anymore. And Rangers will be looking at that game today and be like, yeah, we can do that. All we've got to do is just try, like, get our foot in, be first to every ball, and they could cause some serious problems. I think when we turn it back and just look at what Amorim has to do, or what the team has to do, it's very basic. It's very basic what he has to do. We're not talking about like the clever, like the footage that was doing the rounds on like social media recently. You know, get back within 3 seconds or whatever it is when you've lost the ball, get in position and make sure that you've got, you know, the overlap, can't get past this man and that man. I don't think it's that technical. I think literally all he has to do with this team is just drill them on being first to every ball, first to every single ball. And no matter what, at whatever cost, like, you get in there and you get that ball. Because if you do that bit and you're competing, then that can drive through the team. That can raise the crowd. You know, whenever you put a strong tackling on any player at Old Trafford and you win the ball cleanly, not like you're not trying to fly and kick his head off. But if you like win the ball, tough challenge, crowd's going to get behind you, and that can flow through the team. But today we were so passive. We didn't look to get into them like we should have done, apart from Ugarte, because that's all he knows. But that's what he needs to be drilling into them. I might be simplifying things, but like, what do you think? What's got to change from this game today?
I agree. It's just like, yeah, it literally is winning every second ball. winning every tackle, winning every duel. That's literally what it is, and I think it comes down to mentality more than actual ability. And I don't know. In regards to the game on Thursday, um, I can see us being that passive again because in the Europa League we haven't seen up to it. And the games that we've played, we've always seen passive, even when we were under pressure. So yeah, I can see another game with that. I can see another game with that.
But the Europa League has taken it's going to increase in its relevance to Amorim's season and to Manchester United's season now because of the way that we're performing in the league. This is going to be our route back to Europe next season. Like the FA Cup, yeah, maybe, but we'll probably get shuffled out in the next round against Leicester, who will come to Old Trafford and fancy it again. You know, how good would that be? Rude putting out his old employers in his first game back.
I wouldn't mind, to be honest.
We do love Rude. We do love Rude. But I mean, seeing Jamie Vardy put it up our fans would be quite hard to take. But you can see it happening. But with the Europa League, I think that's going to be the KPI. You know, that's going to be the thing that he is basing, or Radcliffe and all the other guys, all the people above Amorim, they're going to be basing this Europa League as this is our big competition. This is what we need to do well in. Because top 10 finish, yeah, maybe we could get a top 10 finish in the league, but we need to win this competition. And and if we don't book up our ways and try to be a bit more solid against teams that might not be as good as Man City, might not be as good as Liverpool, might not be as good as Arsenal, if we can't raise it against them, then forget it.
I mean, the thing with the Europa League this season is that no teams drop from the Champions League. That's been the issue most seasons. Okay, it gets tough in the knockout stages because the teams that finish third, they drop out. But this season, there isn't. So, you can actually see us winning it. Personally, I think we have a chance for more than one reason. I think the formation that Amorim plays, it favors knockout games because you can just sit in and grab a result home or away. And another thing is that players seem to get pumped and perform when it's something important. So when you get to the later stages of the Europa League, yeah, you can see us raising our levels, especially if by that point our league position, we're not that good, and we start, for example, resting players in the league for the Europa League. And yeah, the teams in the Europa League that are there, they're not that good. I don't want to say they're not that good, but there's not the standout team that you're gonna look at and say this team's gonna win it, because we should be one of those teams that should win it. The other teams.
Who's at the top? Who's at the top of the Europa League right now? Do you know?
It's Bilbao, I think.
Okay.
I think it's
Bilbao. Again, they're another tricky cup team side. Yeah.
Or it's Lazio. Yeah, Bilbao and Lazio. They're tied for points.
Okay, let me ask you then. Who out of this squad that we've currently got, who makes it into the Thursday squad against Rangers? Who makes it into the first team based on what you've watched over the last few games with Southampton and Brighton, and we can even go as far back as the Liverpool game, but the Arsenal game? Sorry, who gets into that starting 11 for you?
I can see Bayern playing, to be honest, because why not? It's a cup game. Onana, yeah, he didn't do well today. Bayern deserves a start again. So maybe Bayern De Ligt, he's been good. Maguire has been good. I'd bring back Lisandro. The wing backs, they're going to be the same because we literally have no one else. And yeah, I was hoping that we could give Ugarte a rest and maybe play Collier, bring back Bruno into the centre mid. And up front, I don't know, maybe Xerxes. I would play Xerxes because Hoyland. Yeah, we didn't do a Southampton review, but Hoyland in that game,
Yeah.
unbelievably awful. So I'd play Ahmad.
He should spend less time arguing with people on Instagram and more time trying to score goals.
No, on Hoyland, the thing is, I don't like that he stinks up the place. For example, the first half he literally did nothing except, and he lost every ball. He couldn't keep any ball. Every ball that comes, it bounces off of him. Except for that one chance when he ran in behind and he played the cutback to Garnacho and Garnacho misses, and then Hoyland, he goes crazy and he starts kicking the post as if what are you doing? It's not like he created 5 chances and they're missing them all. This is the first good thing you've done. Anyways,
but that's because he knew that he wasn't going to get another chance. I mean, we've all watched him this season, and he's been, wrestling with defenders and not much else. So I know it's harsh, but yeah, you're right. Let's just get back on topic. Xerxes gets the starting berth. Left and right, though?
Yeah, Garnacho
Ahmad, I guess.
Yeah, Garnacho, Ahmad.
See, Garnacho definitely, I feel like he has to start if he's not already in a Napoli shirt by that point. But I don't feel like this system suits him at all. I think he has the energy to get back and he has the energy to get up and down the pitch, but he's missing a trick or two, I feel. And he ends up snatching at shots. I don't know if that's because he's only getting on the pitch for 20 minutes at a time these days, but he's constantly snatching at shots. There doesn't seem to be that composure that was there a couple of seasons ago. And maybe his head's been turned, but we're having to play them anyway because we haven't got any other alternatives. But I think the midfield, I would play Ugarte and Bruno. I think Mainu, past couple of games, hasn't been great, and I think he just needs a rest. I might even consider an Eriksen in there if it's a case of putting him in the shop window.
He's gonna get thrown over so easily because Rangers, they're not that big of a team, but the one thing that they are is that they're physical. They're actually physical.
Yeah, but we get any team that comes to Old Trafford. We could take an 11 from our mates that we play with and give them a game.
No, but
just one touch passes.
If you play Eriksen, it's a death wish. Just you might as well not watch the game. You're not going to watch it anyways. So I might just not watch the game. I
mean, it's on at midnight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no chance of me watching that game.
That's why you're casually saying Eriksen, because you don't care. For me, I'm not going to sit 90 minutes and watch Eriksen.
Well, I know that you have to watch it, so that fills me with a little bit of joy. What score do you think it'll be then against Rangers?
1-1. Yeah.
I think you're probably right. I think it'll be. I'm going to try and just be optimistic, and I think this is the only optimistic time I'll be on the podcast. And I'm going to say we'll win 2-0. I'll say that they'll have a firework placed in their derrieres, and they will be told to get out there and actually put on a show for the Old Trafford crowd, because those paying fans, come on, man. Come on. They were being cheered and waved out of the stadium by Brighton. Brighton, who don't have a massive fan base, but made so much noise in there, it was embarrassing for Old Trafford. So, yeah, I'm going to say, optimistically, we'll turn a corner in the Europa League and just at least give the fans something to cheer about. Okay, another slightly depressing Manchester United podcast has come to an end. Not much to say in the way of positives, really, was there? Maybe that'll change after the Rangers game. But we'll be here with another podcast after that, and hopefully our fortunes have changed, and maybe there'll be a bit more fight in this team against the Scottish multiple champions. So anyway, thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. Do subscribe on YouTube and wherever you do get your usual podcasts. And we'll speak to you again next week.